Happening now, the latest in the investigation into a fatal West Ellicott crash, plus a preview of a new business that's opening up in the Jamestown area pretty soon.
Well, temperatures are not budging much over the next several days, and we've got some more chances for rain in the forecast. We will talk about it next in detail as the news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
The Chautauqua County Coroner is looking into what caused a fatal crash in West Ellicott last night. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Town of Ellicott police tell us the single vehicle crash happened around 7 o'clock on Fairmount Avenue near Butts Avenue. When first responders arrived on scene, they say a bystander was performing CPR on the 65-year-old driver. The man, who police say lived in the Jamestown area, was traveling west in his red GMC SUV on Fairmount Avenue when he, presumably unconscious, exited the roadway and hit a parked vehicle in a nearby parking lot. Police say it's unclear why the man lost consciousness. The man was the only occupant of that vehicle and no one else was hurt because of the crash. The coroner's office is now working to determine the man's cause of death. His identity, police say, will be released once his entire family is notified of the death. Two City of Jamestown residents are accused of breaking into and then trashing a local church. Jamestown police say 33-year-old Adam Morrison and 19-year-old Mackenzie Kepler were arrested after allegedly breaking into the Thrift store at St. James Church on Institute Street here in Jamestown last night. Police say the duo forced open a locked door, gaining entry to the facility. While inside, it's alleged the pair left garbage all over that building and defecated on the walls and floors. Both were arrested and charged with third-degree burglary and third-degree criminal tampering. Now, Kepler, police say, was separately wanted on an unrelated burglary charge. Well, more than 106 million people here in the U.S. are now fully vaccinated against COVID-19. But CDC data shows the average daily pace of vaccinations is starting to slow. In spite of that, President Joe Biden is setting a bold new goal for shots in arms. But is it doable, and how? Britt Conway with more.
Perfect. All done.
We're still vaccinating millions of Americans every day. Now, where do we go from here?
President Joe Biden wants to see 70% of adult Americans with at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine by July 4th. He's focusing on 3 areas to increase vaccination rates. First, vaccinating kids 12 to 15 years old, once there's an approved vaccine for them.
Not only do we want to get it done in time for school, we want to get it done in time so kids can really enjoy their summer activities without having to worry, without having to wear masks.
Now, vaccine advisors have scheduled an emergency meeting for next Wednesday as the FDA reviews the Pfizer vaccine for that age range. The second focus, making it easier to get vaccinated.
You want to do a modification of strategy,
which means getting away from mass vaccination sites.
And really putting in walk-in capabilities in 40,000 or so pharmacies throughout the country, getting mobile units going.
The third focus, overcoming vaccine hesitancy by getting the word out and changing the narrative.
I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Ambitious, for sure, but the White House says there's no plan B here.
It's a stretch goal, but it's an achievable goal.
It just needs to be easier.
I think we're going to be able to do it. I mean, it's a challenging goal, but I think it's a doable goal.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Britt, thank you. Several major drugstores in the Jamestown area are now offering same-day COVID vaccination appointments starting today. Walgreens says same-day appointments will be available. CVS started the same-day appointment process last week, and Rite Aid says it will also take walk-ins on a limited basis now. A pre-prepared meal service based in Olean is expanding to the Jamestown area. Go to Meals owner Dion Gayton is expanding his operation by opening a new storefront located at 707 Fairmount Avenue in the business plaza there. Fresh and healthy foods will be made at his current Olean store before being shipped in their delivery van to the area. Meals start at $6.75 with prices decreasing as more quantities are ordered. Gayton says each week's offering changes in order to provide a variety to his customers. Now, as demand grows, he says delivery services will expand here. The young entrepreneur started his business 3 years ago after finding it hard to purchase healthy, ready-to-eat meals while he was in college.
I kind of just shifted into the business, and then I was like hitting around the ideas around Olean, and people were just like, "Oh yeah, that would be great." And I'm like, we save so many people so much time. I mean, we have hundreds of people that are losing weight. Like, you feel great.
Now, he hopes to open the new location at the end of May or beginning of June. To learn more, you can check out their website, go2mealsolean.com. Simply visit go2mealsolean.com. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. So we're going to check of some local headlines this afternoon. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. We always love to hear from you. It's good to see Ed, great to see Darcy, Joseph, Kelly, Linda, and Willie as well. Hopefully you all are having a great day. We appreciate you tuning in. Well, now let's get a first check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter standing by with that. Happy Wednesday to you, Dakota.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Halfway through the week. And yeah, I mean, you know, the rain that we had yesterday was kind of on again, off again. And we got away yesterday without any severe problems, thank goodness. So here's a live look over Salamanca. And the clouds abound out there right now, much cooler with a temperature of only 47 degrees. It is so much cooler from where it was yesterday. We have a few light rain showers that are kind of moving through the southern tier in northwestern Pennsylvania. Kind of a heavy downpour almost coming into downtown Warren there, north of Warren, moving to the northeast. So again, there's going to be a chance for a few scattered rain showers through the afternoon. It's not going to be widespread. It's going to be this on again, off again type of scattered nature of rain through the day today. 68 was the high yesterday. We started the day at 43. We'll talk about these records a little bit later on because today is Cinco de Mayo, and we'll talk about the Cinco de Mayo records for the city here coming up a little bit later on. So scattered afternoon sprinkle or rain showers, just a lot of cloudiness around for today. There could be some peekaboo sun later in the afternoon, but it's going to depend on where you are. 47 to 54, stark difference to where we were yesterday with a healthy wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow we should squeak out a mainly dry day, then it's back to the rain. Once again, we'll talk about it with that 7-day forecast later in the show. Justin.
All right, Dakota, we'll look forward to that. Thank you. Republicans in New York State Senate are calling for a fix to the state's broken unemployment system. State Senator George Borrello joined several of his colleagues in the state's Senate's Minority Conference for a press conference in Albany yesterday. The group says that the state's unemployment system has been a disaster for over a year, and that the legislature needs to act fast to aid struggling New Yorkers. They're calling for a complete forensic audit of the state's IT system, a formal assessment of fraudulent claims, efforts to recoup money from those fraudulent claims, and tax breaks of up to $10,000 on unemployment benefits for 2020 and forgiveness for unemployment overpayments.
Right now, our unemployment system is not only broken, it's broke. New York State has a $10 billion deficit in its unemployment insurance fund. And yet, we can't get a straight answer as to how much fraud has actually occurred in our unemployment system. This is a copy of a letter that I sent to Commissioner Reardon back on April 19th, asking for a full accounting of the estimates of fraud. I've still yet to receive an answer.
Borrello says California and many other states have reported on their losses due to fraudulent claims, and New York should do the same. Well, staying in Albany, New York nursing homes will have to provide a minimum level of staffing under a new bill the Democratic-led legislature is pushing for. As New York State Capitol correspondent Karina Campabianca reports, the state will require nursing homes to provide a daily average of 3.5 hours of nursing care per resident and post information about nursing home staffing levels.
We are doing the right thing for not only nurses across New York State, but also for the patients we care so dearly about.
Assemblywoman Olean is sponsoring legislation that would set nursing home staffing levels and create clinical staffing committees at hospitals. Nurses from across the state say while the pandemic has highlighted the issue, they've been pushing for safe staffing for years.
We have to stop skipping our breaks and lunches and staying after without pay and not telling anyone what's happening.
The first piece of legislation calls for hospitals to create clinical staffing committees to come up with staffing plans. The committees must include frontline workers like nurses, as well as general hospital administration staff. The other piece of legislation sets a standard of 3.5 hours of care per patient per day at nursing homes, but that proposition has been criticized by the New York State Health Facilities Association. In a statement, President and CEO Stephen Hant said, "We oppose this one-size-fits-all legislation because it ignores the fact that New York does not have enough qualified workers to meet the mandate, and it fails to provide enough funding to pay for the costs of the mandate." Through the state budget last month, lawmakers passed other nursing home legislation, including repealing an immunity measure given at the start of the pandemic and a cap on profits. In Albany, Karina Capabianca.
Karina, thank you. The state budget sends $64 million to nursing home and acute care facilities to boost those staffing levels. We'll next hear the latest on Facebook's decision to keep President Trump off its platform, and later where the Jamestown public market is relocating to. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Honest Jones has what you're looking for. When you want it good, we're gonna give you lots more.
From freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has what you're looking for. And now 2 great locations, East 2nd Street and Fairmount Avenue. Order takeout or delivery today online at honestjohns.pizza.
You're gonna get it good at Honest John's.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvanna Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
The George Barone Jr. Scholarship Fund is hosting its first annual Rummage and Bag Sale fundraiser. An inductee in the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame, Barone managed, coached, and assisted in youth baseball for 64 years in and around the Jamestown area. 100% of proceeds generated will be donated, which will provide scholarships to graduating Southwestern Central School seniors who partake in athletics. Learn more by checking out the scholarship on Facebook and joining us for the fundraising event.
Every cookie sold in the Girl Scout Cookie Program helps girls learn lifelong lessons in people skills, decision-making, money management, goal setting, and business ethics. It's amazing how much you can learn from a cookie. The Girl Scout Cookie Program. Think outside the box.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Local parishioners will gather at the Chautauqua Mall tomorrow to take part in the National Day of Prayer. Director of The Better Place Incorporated, Roy Miller, tells us the event is normally held at Jamestown City Hall. However, last year, because of COVID gathering concerns, took place at the mall's parking lot. He says the in-automobile service was the largest turnout that event has ever seen. He expects this year's gathering to yield similar results. The ceremony will start with a prayer in unity before local religious leaders pray for the community.
Especially as we're dealing with the dual pandemics of COVID-19 and racism, a pandemic that's been with us for a long time, and the church is the answer because it's a spiritual problem. And we're aiming to pull it out by the roots, and it's got to start someplace.
Now, the services will also include musical performances and remarks from Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell, Sheriff Jim Quattrone, and Assemblyman Andy Goodell, among others. The annual spiritual event takes place the first Thursday of every May, where churches and their congregations nationwide come together in prayer. Those interested in attending are asked to gather near the former Bonton on the north-facing side of the mall just before noon. Parking attendants will be on hand to direct those to the event. Well, former President Trump will not be returning to Facebook for at least 6 more months. The social networking's Independent Oversight Board affirmed Facebook's decision to deplatform the president after the Capitol riot in January. Today's decision also applies to Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. Between the two platforms, Trump loses direct contact with 60 million followers. The Facebook Oversight Board, which includes legal experts and human rights leaders, may consider the ban in 6 months' time. Facebook leadership says it will carefully review the board's recommendations and determine its next actions. Overseers believe the decision could set a precedent for how social media platforms are moderated going forward. Twitter and YouTube took similar steps on January 7th, citing an ongoing risk of the violence and incitement at the U.S. Capitol. Well, a new study shows exposure to secondhand cigarette smoke can increase the risk of heart failure. The Journal of Nicotine and Tobacco research study published today adds the growing research about the dangers of secondhand smoke. The study of 11,000 non-smokers showed a 35% increase in the odds of developing heart failure, a leading cause to disabilities in the U.S. Exposure to cigarette smoke has proven to been associated with strokes and heart attacks. Now, in the study, male patients seem to be slightly more susceptible to developing heart failure from secondhand smoke over women. Well, it's how many of us start our mornings, right? The FDA says about 4 in 5 U.S. adults consume caffeine every day, but it's important to know how much is too much and when to stop so your sleep isn't affected. Mandy Gaither with more in today's Health Minute for us.
For many, it's a way to jumpstart the day, but caffeine has its downsides.
There's definitely some health benefits, but there's also some drawbacks if people take in too much.
Consuming too much caffeine can make you jittery and anxious, increase heart rate, cause an upset stomach, nausea, or headache. It can also lead to insomnia.
Probably everybody knows somebody who can drink coffee and then go to bed an hour or two later.
Liz Wynandy, a registered dietitian at The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, says caffeine affects people differently. So how much is too much can vary person to person, depending on body weight, medications, and sensitivity.
Not drinking coffee after noon, around 12 p.m. is a good idea to make sure that it's out of a person's system almost entirely by the time they go to bed.
For healthy adults, the FDA recommends no more than 400 milligrams a day. That's about 4 or 5 cups of coffee. Wynandy says it should be spread out, not consumed in one sitting. And if you think you're taking in too much, cut back gradually.
So maybe tapering down over a week is ideal. If someone decides to go cold turkey, it's really, most people are going to have a headache. They'll have some increased drowsiness, but usually that only lasts for a couple of days.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
All right, Mandy, thank you. To put it in perspective, a 12-ounce soft drink can have between 30 and 40 milligrams of caffeine. There's between 30 to 50 milligrams in an 8-ounce cup of green or black tea, and 80 to 100 in an 8-ounce coffee. And an energy drink can have more than 40 to 250 milligrams of caffeine in an 8-ounce can. Ooh, keep you up for days. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. It's great to see Jack, good to see Carrie, Stephanie, and Topsy as well. Hopefully you're all having a great day. Dakota, I know you're not much of a coffee drinker. I think you mix iced tea, right, in your coffee cup in the morning. You do Arnold Palmer, is that right?
No.
No, you don't do that?
What is in the coffee cup usually every day, my broken down, wilted, seen better days coffee cup, is actually ginger ale.
Ginger ale.
So,
all right.
Yes.
That's a good way to start. Clears you up.
Yes.
I'm a coffee drinker, and I don't drink as much as I used to. But
you see, I don't like coffee.
Yeah.
I actually prefer cappuccino. and I much prefer ice caps.
Right.
Like our friends at Tim Hortons, you know.
The Oreo ice cap.
Oreo ice cap.
If you want to get to Dakota's heart, bring him one. 21
An Oreo
East 3rd
ice
Street.
cap and the 2 for $4 breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah. Yeah, that is good. So I don't know. I think everything's okay in moderation.
Right.
You know, I used to drink a ton of coffee, and then my hands actually would shake. So I pulled back on that, and now I have 1 cup every morning, and you know what? It's all I need. That's the thing. You get your 8 hours, you're good to go.
Well, you know, I can attest to like the caffeine because, you know, years ago when I was a kid, I used to drink pop like all day long. Like that's the only thing I would drink would be like pop. But then we stopped buying it and we stopped buying pop all the time. And I think it's better for
definitely.
it. I mean, you know, drinking more water. Obviously, I've kind of morphed into the bottled water / Arnold Palmer iced tea stuff now, but
got it right here.
Yes.
Got my bottled water. I had that Smart Water bottle. It kind of faded away. You remember that thing was tracking me? I wasn't really all about that. Good to see Brittany. Dave says coffee is ishy. Not a coffee fan. Topsy says go Dakota cappuccino forever. And you know, on dark, rainy days like this, it's always good to have either something warm or something yummy to kind of cuddle up with out there.
Yes. And now I am not a person who is of the Spanish descent, so I'm sure there's probably at least a Spanish coffee drink out there, and it'd be good for today because
something with like a little chili powder maybe.
Yes, with weather-o.
Zesty.
Yes, today is Cinco de Mayo, so this is my Spanish for you. See if I can do this. El los ribos de registro. And here's where we are for Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, I can't pronounce. Okay, that was what?
Dakota?
Okay.
This is great. You translated this perfectly.
This is about 2 years worth of Spanish, but that was about 100 years ago. So anyway, for those of us, this is basically what it is. So in the record books, this is the warmest Cinco de Mayo we've had in 1950, where the temperature was 88. The coldest day was 45 degrees, set all the way back in 1898. The most amount of rainfall we had on Cinco de Mayo was 1.12 inches, was 1.10 inches. We've only had a trace of snowfall on this date in 1954. And last year, the high temperature was 44, and we started the day at 29. And these are not pickles. They're dancing cactuses. It's not a pickle. Okay.
Dancing cacti.
So yeah, cacti. So it's not a dancing pickle, it's a dancing cacti. Speaking of dancing, storm spotter training tonight, 7 o'clock, online from the National Weather Service in Buffalo. Free to attend. Go to weather.gov/BUF/Skywarn to register. We need more spotters. Again, spotters and observers are the only people who see down at the ground, so we need more of them. Highly encourage it. Lots of clouds downtown right now. We've actually had a few raindrops showing up from time to time. 40 right now with a west wind of 9, and we do have some fog out there. So there is going to be some reduced visibilities out there through at least mid this afternoon. So watch out for that if you are going out. Could run into a little bit of fog and mist. So here's this little rain shower that's moving across Warren County, Pennsylvania. No lightning being detected in this, so we can't call it a thunderstorm. We'll call it a shower, and you can see some of the heavier rainfall within here. This is moving to the northeast, and the northern edge of it is clipping kind of, I would say, the northern fringe of Jamestown, basically out near the airport, near Ellicott, moving to the northeast. That's the rain there, and as we zoom it out to the northeast, this is what's going to be coming in tomorrow. Notice this dome of clearing out here. That's weak high pressure that'll come in for tomorrow, and you'll see what it will do to the cloud cover. So here's Future Scan, pops up a few more isolated to scattered rain showers through the afternoon. Not widespread, not raining all day, and not a heavy rain either. Just a gentle, light springtime rain. But we've had enough of the rain, though. But look at tonight here. The early clouds may go away. We may actually go partly to mainly clear overnight tonight. And then tomorrow, a gorgeous looker of a day with partly to mostly sunny skies. And then as we head into Friday, we see another disturbance moving in. And yeah, maybe Friday night, we may mix in a few wet snowflakes on the higher hills. Not out of the question, but we'll keep monitoring that. And if you're looking for warm air, folks, you got to go all the way down to the south here. Over the next 6 to 10 days here from the Climate Prediction Center, really no warm air in sight. You have to drop further to the south if you want the warmer air. So the colder air is going to stick around for at least a little while. But again, it's May. I told you, May is one of the wild card months we have. So the inland areas today, we may squeeze out a 50 here in the city, but I think the warmer temperatures are going to be east and south where you see some of that warmer air. How about the future? Next 7 days coming up right now. 54 tomorrow. Afternoon, clouds will start to filter in. Then rain returns on Friday. We may mix in a few wet snowflakes in the afternoon to the evening hours. A nice day Saturday, 51. Mother's Day, not a total washout, but there will be some scattered showers from time to time, 53. And as we head into next week, we should dry out with partial sunshine both Monday and Tuesday. Why don't we take a break and be right back?
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
The Jamestown Public Market will have a new home for this summer season. Members of the Jamestown City Council approved a special event permit application for this week, which officials say will open Saturday, June 12th. The market will now be located on West 3rd Street between North Main and Cherry Streets. Public Market Director Linnea Carlson addressed the council during its meeting on Monday. She said that the market has grown over the years, leading to a greater demand for the space.
We're going to be having 2 rows of tents down the middle of 3rd Street, and that's going to help us expand the number of vendors that we can have. We're also excited to move to 3rd Street because we've just continued to build our relationships with the surrounding businesses, such as Crown Street, which is a wonderful opportunity for us to be in front of that establishment as well as the Lucy Museum, and keeping those sidewalks open so that we can really kind of build an event that is open and allows for people to experience not just the market, but downtown.
She says a total of 23 vendors thus far will participate, some for part of the season and others for the full time. Certainly exciting. A lot of people see that and they know summer is coming. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. Let us know what you think about this and more in the comments down below. And that market, Dakota, is pretty cool. They usually have it most Saturdays during the summer. And like most events, there's so much to do. There's so many different vendors. Some people come for, like I mentioned in the story, some of the time you'll have unique vendors, and then you'll have things like the fresh produce and things like that. So it's incredible. And I know a couple of people who live downtown, and that's during the summer one of their main sources for groceries is having this public market, because it's easy for them just to walk out of their apartment and get food.
And then plus, having the public market is great for many reasons, because it allows people in the community who are, growers, like if they grow tomatoes or whatever, for them to be able to sell them to the community directly without the middleman.
Right.
And then plus, that all the money that you're spending goes directly to the farmers and growers, instead of going to, say, a big box store and where the store takes a percentage of it or what have you, where when you go to the public market, it's all going to be fresh, it's all going to be locally grown, and all the money you spend there is going to go right back to the people who grew it. And
always putting local first. Good to see you. Right, a little tagline. I'm probably not going to get anything for that, but good to see Topsy, Cindy, Jennifer, and Judy as well. Topsy asked real quick, what's the link for the weather spotting? How can people do that?
If you go to www.weather.gov/BUF/Skywarn, SKYWARN, you'll see a thing on the website that lists all the spotter training dates. You just click on the one that you want to register for, and you'll get a form, and right there you register and you're in.
And Dakota, I know you usually put a link to that in your full weather article, which will be coming up on WNYNewsNow.com in about an hour. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining us today. That's going to do it. News 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com and on our free mobile app. If you haven't downloaded it already, go ahead and do that right now. Dakota and I are back tomorrow. See you then.